right, I think we're live. And there's sound.
Oh, really?
Live with sound.
Whoa. Upgrades, people. Upgrades.
How we doing this here?
I've got it. Let's broadcast it around.
I'm streaming.
I'm
Not
not
streaming,
recording.
recording.
Oh, yeah, I need to record also.
Dang it.
I am now recording.
So many things to do. All right. I am recording now as well. And I think my volume's okay. Okay. That's better. Okay.
Yeah, sounds loud and clear.
All right. We want to clap.
Give me 1 second. I am recording.
Ew,
good.
gross.
Okay. All right, ready?
Ready.
Yeah,
Your hands
let's
warmed
do
up.
it.
right.
Yep.
1, 2, 3.
All right.
Wow.
Nice and loud.
Wow. All right. Okay. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Game by Show podcast. It is August the 1st. August the 1st, 2021. That's right. It's August already, guys. Isn't that a little bonkers, I think?
I was surprised to learn today that it was August the 1st because I thought it was still like July 31st, but I guess that was yesterday. So
That's the way
Not
dates work.
not
They
sure what's
go
going
up.
on.
They go up in value and change every day. It's weird.
We've just
Man.
fallen into the time slip.
It is weird though, man.
kinda
Like I agree with
garbage.
you. Like it's already August.
Did you know that January 1st, 1601 was the first day? That was the first day there ever was.
Is that
First
what
day of the
happens when
day.
you put like a string character into a computer date and it takes you back to like 16?
No, that's
Yeah.
1979.
Yeah, no,
December
as far as computers are concerned, that's
The
the first
Unix
ever day.
timestamp is December 31st, 1979.
You're talking about Blaise Pascal's like water calculator or whatever it is?
I don't know. Maybe I am.
Maybe,
Okay,
maybe.
yeah. I got a little too cerebral there for a minute.
I'm sort of talking about the
Is
date.
is
the,
is that the day the doom clock started ticking? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Been up at Times Square since then.
Yep.
Yep.
I don't know what's going on with my light, y'all. It's the worst.
Turn it down, bud.
It is down. This is the
Jared,
computer.
I got news for you. It's not your light. It's your fish belly light skin.
you ever seen that movie Powder? That's what we're looking at here.
Yeah, that's not bad. Tune into YouTube
That's
to
right.
see Jared's
See,
reflection.
now you know why I grow like this dark beard is so that it like absorbs some of the white that would just come
Yeah.
off.
That's why I wear only black.
That's why I
I don't
drink a lot of Guinness before every podcast so I
I-
can look ruddy.
Hold on. What is
It's
this?
like a Norman Rockwell painting over here.
Yeah.
Jared's worried about this. Hey, welcome to the Game by Show. Let me introduce ourselves. We're all here. Jared's turned off his light now. That's great. My name is Legrand. Jared is the bright one in the bottom right. Jeremy and Dale. Hello, fellas.
Hey.
Hello.
Hey, everybody.
Welcome to the
Howdy,
show.
howdy.
We still do this in August 2021. Boy, howdy, has it been a long time since we've been doing
It
this.
has
We're
been
still
kind of a long time.
perfecting- Still perfecting the podcast format, though. At the
We
cutting
have.
edge.
We've enhanced it recently.
That's
It's
true.
been
Uh-huh.
pretty good.
We're now doing it live. Can you believe it? It's a thing you can do on the internet now.
I didn't hear you. Yeah. When we started this, I don't think was Twitch a thing or was it still
No.
Justin TV?
Was it Ustream?
That's so
yeah,
dated.
Ustream.tv.
Hey, look,
Probably.
I turned on dark mode.
What does that even mean?
I downloaded a Chrome extension that makes Google Docs dark, so it's at least not blinding.
Oh, that's cool.
It looks the same from here, but I'll take your word
It does
for
not.
Nice. You don't like looking at a light bulb all day on your computer?
You know what really blinds the hell out of me? You know when you go to the Epic Game Store and it's all in dark mode all the time, and then you check out and it's like super pristine, pure
Yeah.
white, and it's like
burning away the impurities of your flesh.
Just blasting you full of neutrons or something.
Why you do that at Epic Store? Ugh.
I blame
Because
10 Cent.
That was the one thing they required.
Like, take this, Americans.
See, this is without it. Hold on. I got to turn it on. And then this is without it. Oh,
Nice.
that's with it. See how much better that is?
Your head looks like a big light bulb.
So I got an announcement because that's going to surprise everybody on this podcast.
Okay, give it.
I am a head coach of a youth football team.
That's great.
What?
Nice.
Yeah. They needed a coach, and no one was stepping up. And well,
See, that's
Grand
me, too.
steps up.
I hear you.
So I have some
What
fun.
do you know about coaching football?
I know nothing about
Some-
it.
This
Don't
is-
tell my
this is
team.
Fun.
This
Or
is
the
gonna be
parents.
This is our own Mike. You're the Emilio Estevez of your.
So
local Mighty
when I
Ducks.
was a young lad, my dad and my uncle coached my youth baseball team, and it was like coach pitch. It wasn't even like a kid pitch yet. And my uncle, here's the thing: he tried out once for the Cincinnati
He
Reds
walked you. He hit you on
as-
purpose and walked you every
as
time.
a pitcher. I mean, he had like real talent and like injured his arm in college or whatever, right? And so there's this one time, I guess he just got caught up in the moment. He fielded a ground ball and just unleashed his like hardest throw at our first baseman, and it almost killed him.
Wow.
Pretty
Gotta
good,
It
man.
throw
just
this
nailed him
football
right in
over
the
that
chest.
Ouch.
Pretty good.
My other fun story is I was once an assistant coach on a kid's soccer team. I had never
was a
played
head
soccer.
coach on
I'd never
soccer.
even seen a soccer game. I had no idea, but I was the assistant coach.
That's okay. That's okay. Yeah,
Midway-
I've been
Mid-
stressing out about it because, like I said, my football knowledge begins and ends with my other son's football.
Listen,
playing.
here's what Dale Jones, the league winner for his office Blood Bowl pool, will
Let's
tell you
say.
exactly.
You just
dude,
need to get
yeah.
some
Awesome
tips
Blood Bowl.
We
from
play some more Madden. That's
some
what I
Blood
need
Bowl
to do.
tips.
In fact, the only
Play
other
some
guy in
Madden.
my office that plays is way better than me.
I mean, if
Blood
you really
Bowl.
want to traumatize some kids,
Show them Blood Bowl.
well, let them play
Listen.
Blood, but real life Blood
Yeah,
Bowl.
just put some like
Dude.
spikes on their shoulder pads.
Yeah, give
and
somebody one of those like comic like bombs with like a the
broken
ball with
bottle
the
or
fuse
something
coming
out
of
there. That'd be useful.
That's right.
Real talk though, my other son is playing at the high school and he got a concussion on Friday, so that's fun. I've been dealing with
Ouch.
that.
Yeah.
That is
Youth
not
sports-
fun.
Honestly, youth sports is not great.
It's a good time, Jeremy. I'm sorry you don't
Sure.
have boys
No,
that play
you know what?
sports.
Concussions are awesome, and the younger you can have them, just get them out of the way, right?
That's right. I had my first concussion at 25.
Hey,
Whatever.
You can't
I
tell
had
at
a
all.
concussion in high school sports, and look how fine I turned out.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool,
Uh,
man. Hey, I'm
I
glad to be
love-
here. Glad to be here tonight. It's been a long weekend. It's going to be a longer week as we start up football practice. But listen, happy to talk about video games today. Guys, sorry, not sorry. Final Fantasy 14 is still taking up most of my time.
He's so embarrassed he doesn't even write it down anymore.
I don't. You guys know what I'm going to put there. I'm too lazy. I'm like, they know what I'm going to talk about. They know who I was, and they picked me up. Final
Where
Fantasy
were
14
you
head.
on the night of?
Basically, all I did this last week was picked up a couple extra jobs and started playing some healer classes, which has been fun, and jobs. So that's all my update. I'm going to keep going, though. I'm still playing it
Healer,
hard.
has it been fun as a healer?
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's different in that healers are expected to also DPS, right? And
yeah,
so
there's sort of
you're-
like active healers. My daughter was,
was-
what's the start?
I was trying to figure out who Legrand was trying to convince.
Oh, that's a
when he
conjurer.
said yes.
Conjurer gets carbuncle.
Yeah, so conjure is like a healing class, I believe.
Yeah, conjurer turns into summoner. Oh, arcanist. Sorry, arcanist turns into summoner and conjurer.
Hmm.
Wait,
Something.
This is a
Th-
really
that
cool
that class
conversation.
that class turns into two different jobs,
Yeah,
and they
the
share
forking-
XP.
The
It's
forking job
Arcanist.
system is cool.
Yeah, it's arcanist, and it turns into. I mean, they did it kind of like Final Fantasy 1, right? Where in the middle of Final Fantasy 1, you turn into a black wizard or whatever, right? From
Yeah.
Black Mage, and you get your job or whatever it is. So it's kind of that same concept, but yeah, it's been fun. I mean, I kind of like stopped doing the story because I just wanted to do other things in it, which is fine. I have plenty of time before Endwalker comes out to wrap that up. I'm halfway through Shadowbringers and just doing other things in that game, and it's still 100% interesting. So keeping that up. Hunt Showdowns also dominated the week. I had 2 late nights to about 3 o'clock in the morning playing Hunt Showdown, including last night.
I don't think I can hang like that anymore. I used to, but it's.
I didn't think so either until we said, "Hey, this is our last round," and then it lasted 45 freaking minutes.
You know, that's true. With the proper motivation, you can do some terrible things to your body.
Yeah, and well, it was a long round, and it was awesome. It ended really well for us too. But
Really.
But I also started playing a game on the mobile phone called. This is a game I think it's been out for a while. It's called Game Dev Story. I think it's been out in a couple different platforms. I think they have it on PC, and
I think it originally came out on PC.
Yeah,
yeah.
It's part of Apple Arcade now. So I saw it on there, and I downloaded it, and obviously it works very, very well on the phone. But it's one of those simmy games where you're kind of just managing. You know, it's kind of hard to explain, but you're basically a pixelated video game studio, and you're hiring developers, and you're making games, and you're planning the budgets, and you're spending money on advertising. Game comes out, you have to plan what kind of game you're going to make that's going to appeal to your fans, and that type of stuff. Go to like game conferences, win game awards, and things like that. So it's a very sim light game, kind of like it's not like a parody, but it's like just an approximation of what
and it's
game
cutesy.
development
Like
might
everybody's kind of like all chibi and pixely. Yeah.
So you have like a little studio, and my daughter had actually quite a bit of fun, like picking the story and hiring people, and like, oh, this guy's a writer, and this guy's a designer, and this guy is a sound guy, and this guy's a producer, and so you end up making those guys and hiring people, and they cost different money, and pretty soon you got to fire people because they stop producing very well because they get burned out. That's actually a thing that sort of happens.
So the allegations start coming. And
the allegations start coming in.
Yeah, so this is like these types of games I think are like the best kind of phone games. I cannot stand these like phone games where they're like battle live online with other players. I'm like, no. I only have so long to poop. Like we've got to speed this stuff along here.
Yeah, I will say that I have been prevented from playing. I have just kind of decided like I cannot start a Wild Hunt or what's the Dota game, Wild Card, whatever it is. Anyway, or like you said, Arena of Valor, because I'm like, it's gonna take 15
Wildlands. Wild Rift.
No, it's Wild Rift. Wild Rift. That's the one.
That's a league, right?
I made that up. Is that really Wild Rift?
It's something. Yeah, it's something like that. It's
League of Legends.
League of Legends.
Wild Rift. Wow, I was right.
Yeah, you totally.
I was just combining 2 words that I think might have been it.
Because it's called the map.
That's your experience in Game Dev Story. That's how they make up games. They just combine words, and
it's
weird. You actually pick a genre of game, so like puzzle, and then you pick like a theme. So like I made like a pirate action game and an RPG, whatever, an animal trivia game my daughter made, and we were incredibly successful. Sound design was top notch. We made hundreds of thousands of dollars. That was great.
So if I recall, the developer for this game is Kairosoft. Is that right?
Sure.
Kairosoft is a studio that they follow sort of that game dev story. They have this like stories.
I heard the F1 equivalent was good.
Yeah, actually, my favorite one is a soccer one called Pocket League Story. I might have actually talked about this somewhere in the ancient mists of time on this podcast.
I may have actually talked about this game before on PC because I think I played it before years ago, and I may have talked about this 5 years ago on this podcast.
That's fine. There, I remember there was a point,
before
where
Twitch existed.
Yeah, back when it was on UStream, when we were streaming
out the golden oldies.
on Ustream.
It's good. It made it. I remember
we mailed our stream out on DVDs.
We showed up to video game conferences and handed them out. We didn't even mail them.
Hey man, listen to my podcast mixtape.
Hey, do you still have a 3.5 floppy drive here? I got my podcast on here.
I'm searching for it on the see how our search box does on the website.
It usually does pretty well. You might be able to find it on there.
It may be the only thing that does well.
But you know what? It's cool though now that you can play it with your daughter too. Like I think that's actually fun.
Yeah.
I think that's a good game to actually go back and
I can confirm it is by Kairosoft Company Limited.
Kairosoft, they're sort of hit or miss. They redo their formula over and over with different skins, but every once in a while, like Dale said, there are a few that kind of stand out, and maybe the F1 racing is real good. Pocket League Story, which they did, that's the soccer equivalent for those of you who are looking into Little League soccer. That's something you can do to prep.
Maybe I should play that one and figure out how to play.
Yeah, they do the
how to coach.
Little League football.
They
story.
have 78 versions of this game, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Basically,
I just
Yep,
did the
that's exactly
math.
right.
That's okay.
That's how
This one's a
many's
good
on
one
the
of
Google
those.
Play Store.
And if you're into
Rocket Harvest.
the video games, then this is a fine one of those games.
Yeah,
And I played it.
I think this
and
is a great way to play phone games because you like kind of do it and then you like put it away and then like 2
I'm
days
playing
you
right
come
now.
back and
I'm not even going to pay attention to what you guys have to talk about.
Nice.
Me
Playing
too.
Game dev story. Just kidding.
Very good.
Skyforce
Well,
Unite.
The game that I've been playing this week is pretty new, but using a tried and true formula. I've been playing a game called The Last Stop, which is a game that's published by Annapurna Interactive, and it is.
I heard about
more-
this.
Yeah, it's not bad. So
On
it's
Game
more or
Pass, right?
less-
Game Pass?
It is on Game Pass. Yeah, it is on Game Pass. So you can play this for $0 if you've already got your $15 a month Game Pass subscription. But it sort of follows the kind of Telltale or the Don't Nod formula. You know, it's sort of an adventure, sort of a very finely guided adventure. You know, there's some rails on either side of you, and it follows the paths of what 1, 2, 3, I think 3 or 4 different characters, as they and it takes place kind of in England. Maybe the developer is British. I don't know. But it kind of does this sort of magical realism sort of thing. So kind of in the same way that Life is Strange is sort of like mundane everyday life, but kind of with a supernatural twist. The point of The Last Stop is that different characters who all kind of have completely different backgrounds. So one character that you play as is kind of this dumpy, middle-aged, balding dad of a really spunky grade school daughter. And he ends up in kind of a freaky. Maybe I shouldn't spoil this. Different things happen to them. I mean, that's just for example, that's one of them where he ends up in kind of a body swapping situation with his irresponsible younger, lackadaisical game dev neighbor. And there's another character who kind of works for the British MI5, MI6 private corporation surveillance, government surveillance kind of thing. There's a girl who is in kind of high school, and in each of these scenarios, they do tie together. So you sort of play each one through their individual chapter, and you can do them in any order. It doesn't really matter. But each of the characters kind of show up in the other characters' arcs a little bit. You might see them in the background or something. And they're tied together in some way. I actually have not finished this yet. I've gotten through 3 or 4 chapters with each of the characters, and I think there are 6 total. But the idea is that there may be supernatural. In fact, in the opening cutscene, there's characters that you play as that you actually don't meet. They're not any of the main characters, but it kind of, what it reminds me of a little bit is kind of like Black Mirror in the way that Black Mirror are short little sort of individual vignette episodes that deal with a kind of a technology dystopian theme kind of idea. Here, though, the theme is not really dystopian. It's just like something supernatural that happens, not necessarily world changing or anything like that, but just sort of like in the
Hold
scope
on,
of
this
that
is like a
person's
game.
life.
You're like on a train, right?
Well, that's one thing that I find kind of weird about it. Maybe it wraps it up at the end, but the only time that there's a train where there are stops that I can tell is in the
No.
selection screen.
Okay.
Where
I'm thinking of
you-
a different game.
Is that right?
Yeah, sorry.
Well, this one is on Game Pass, so if you still have Game Pass, you can try it out. But the only time that I see anything that has to do with stops is when you select the characters. They're sort of on the London Underground, and maybe there's eventually some, capstone moment at the end of the game where it's like, oh, truly, this was the last stop or
Okay.
something.
The Last Stop. I was thinking of the game.
doesn't do
The
that, I'm gonna be
Final
so mad.
Station.
Oh yeah, okay. We're getting to that point. We're running out of game names. Yeah. So I like it. The voice acting is really good. I will say that the choices that you make in terms of dialogue, primarily you're making dialogue choices. You do navigate the character sort of a la Telltale. You might walk with kind of like a twin stick, or it's not even really twin stick, but you have changing camera angles as you move through different zones.
This is like 3D. I was thinking it would be like pixel.
No.
Blah, blah, blah.
This is literally like if you think of Telltale games, like think of The Walking Dead or something like that, or think of
The Telltale Game of Thrones game that we did all on stream.
Yeah.
That's
I wish
right.
they had made another season of that because I thought it was all right.
I think I saw something that somewhere there was going to be some Game of Thrones something. Like someone might be going back to revisit that, but this game literally just kind of follows that
Yeah,
exact formula.
George R.R. Martin is going to go back to
Yeah,
revisit it.
he's
like
gonna
finish
hunt
it.
and peck his-
No, he's going to
This
reboot
is
it.
way
from the
easier than
first-
writing the books.
Yeah, no doubt.
rewrite the first book.
So the dialogue is really good. The voice acting is really good. I would say that the choices that you make, even in terms of the dialogue decisions, it almost seems sometimes like I could have picked A or B, and the person kind of said the same thing each time. So there is that. But when you recap, last time on this guy's story, it does kind of recap your particular things. So it literally does that.
So
Telltale stuff.
have you finished the game yet?
No. So I'm probably about 2/3, maybe 3/4
Okay.
of the way through. So I don't know yet what is the eponymous last stop.
So I'd be
There's
curious
very
because
little train in
like
this.
Annapurna games tend to be. I mean, I'm just thinking they just actually had a showcase with some of their new games coming up. But thinking of some of the previous ones that they published, Ashen, Gorogoa, Edith Finch, Outer Wilds, Florence, Journey, like really cool games that like at the end you're like, oh, that was a really cool game.
Yeah, like
even though like maybe you get more depth out of it, maybe you don't, maybe you just enjoyed the experience. So I'm curious if at the end, if you do finish it, which will be a rarity, I feel for this crew.
We'll get there. We'll get there. Actually, it's funny because I mentioned the lackadaisical game dev character. It's kind of funny because they do poke a little bit of fun at themselves. And Annapurna is the publisher, rather.
The publisher, right?
But they do kind of poke fun at like, oh, this is an artistic game and it makes you feel, it'll make you cry and stuff like that. And it's he describes it to the spunky grade school age daughter, and she's like, this sounds stupid. So they do kind of wink at themselves a little bit with that,
Nice.
and it's fun. I will say that it's not terribly engaging gameplay wise, but it does tell some interesting little stories, like I said, a la Black Mirror or something like that. So if you're interested in a fairly straightforward narrative experience that you get to choose a little bit of the kind of the reactions and the path that your character takes, The Last Stop actually is a pretty decent way to go, but it is not terribly gripping in terms of gameplay mechanics, but I can recommend it to those of you who are fans of Telltale or Don't Nod, Life is Strange, some of those kinds of things, because it's like a smaller budget version maybe of those kinds of
I
things.
feel like we need more games like those, maybe not necessarily as transparently copy and paste as Telltale.
Yeah, and I think that's what Annapurna is doing here. Is they're
for
saying, well, we've found a developer who is making this style of game, but they're doing
Like,
a very specific thing
Tell me, Dale, a Warhammer 40K Inquisition game like Telltale, how into that would you be?
I think that'd be great. I always wanted.
You could apply that to anything.
Mass Effect.
Yeah, Mass
Yeah, that's true.
Effect. Like, how cool would that be to just take any game, any world, and just make it kind of an interactive story with a little bit of content, But Telltale
Borderlands, that might be a good one.
Yeah, that was a good one. They made a major world change in that version. That was so
That's
crazy.
true.
I've heard
And
that
carry
the
over
Batman,
Those are supposed
Telltale
to be good.
Batman season 1 and 2 are also apparently pretty interesting.
Yeah,
I think
I've got that. I've been looking at it.
I think they gave those away on Epic.
They did. Yeah, so I was actually looking at that and thinking, maybe
There
I
was
can
a
do Batman.
Jurassic Park one. My kids played that. He's
there was that,
really into dinosaurs. He played the Jurassic Park one.
Walking Dead Michonne, that one was apparently pretty good.
I heard that one was.
I heard it was
alright.
pretty good.
I heard
I
the
don't-
first 2 episodes were good.
So
Yeah,
here's
first episodes
what
were
we're saying,
fantastic.
developers: more Telltale-like games, not copy and paste like Telltale formula. Go.
Yeah. So there you go. So I've been playing The Last Stop this week. Dale, what's up?
I've played exclusively one game since we last recorded, and I mentioned
Fantasy
it.
14.
No, I mentioned it on the last show that it looked promising. That's a Warhammer 40,000 Battle Sector, and it's great. I really like it. It's really good. It's so it's a turn-based tactical battles sort of game, and you're controlling squads of either Space Marines or later on you encounter the Sisters of Battle. The they're basically like I don't know, they're just like female Space Marines kind of.
Basically,
and you're
they're
fighting
kinda cool
against.
though. They have like the who's the person that plays like the organ or whatever. Like, it's such a
Oh
silly
yeah, yeah.
faction.
There's they have this one tank that's like a giant organ.
Yeah,
it's like
yeah,
pipe
that's what I'm
organ,
thinking of.
and like missiles shoot out of the pipes. Yeah, it's crazy.
Cool.
I'm telling you, the 40K
like
is
it.
weird.
It's like Mad Max style. It's so good.
Yeah, and then in this game, the main antagonist is the Tyranids. They are the like alien, like as in like
Zerg.
Ridley
Perfect.
Scott alien.
Got it.
Yeah, basically, the Zerg are in fact based wholesale on the Tyranid. But yeah, it's the bugs, right? And but the missions they give you are pretty interesting. They're it'll be like go over here and touch this objective and fight off this wave of enemies. It's strategic tactics game stuff. But I find that what they're actually reproducing in terms of like the units from the tabletop 40K game and like the flavor of the missions that they give you are really kind of like a really good digitization of that tabletop game. Even though it's not trying to be that exactly, and it's not, I wouldn't say it's like 40K tabletop, but it's kind of like maybe the closest I've seen out of any of these sort of like weird 40K PC games, in that it uses some of the like same army building things where like your units are given a point value and your entire force can only go up to like the maximum point value for that encounter. So it'll be like 1,500 points. And then you can take, say, like a squad of assault marines, and that'll be like 70 points. And those are the guys with like jump packs and chain swords, right? And pistols. Or you can take some intercessors, and these are the guys with like assault rifles, right? And the squad of them is 90. Or if you want, you can take the aggressors, which wear like really super thick power armor, and they have these like auto guns built into their gauntlets, which are also power fists, which are so like they're really good in melee and up close shooting, and those guys are like 135 points, whatever. So you got to kind of like balance it out. You're thinking, do I lean on the guys who can go a really long range and like to specialize in melee, or do I lean on the guys who don't do good in melee but they have plasma guns, so they shoot like relatively few shots, but the shots that they do hit with are they pierce armor really well, right? So if you're going up against like a giant space critter, one of the ones they call like a Tyrannofex, or a what's that other one called, like this something that starts with a C.
Pontifex.
It's like Cia, whatever it's called. It shoots a big blob of plasma that can take out like a whole unit, right? So like you want to kill that thing fast, right? So it has pretty tough armor, so you probably want to shoot it from range with those hell blasters with their plasma guns. And there's also like the cool command abilities. Like your main guy starts off as a sergeant of the Space Marines, and then later on he gets a promotion to lieutenant, and then you start being able to use these command abilities, right? So you can call in air support, and it's cool. Like you build up what's called momentum as you go along, right? Yeah, fancy word for it, right? Momentum. You build that up as you kill stuff, and then once you get enough momentum, you can start doing your like command abilities, right? So then you call in air support, and it basically gives you the ability to highlight 4 squares in a row, and everything in those 4 squares will basically, imagine like an A-10 Warthog, right? Like just strafed, by, and the plane that the Space Marines have is called a Storm Raven, and it's just like assault cannon city. It just like comes through there and it's like pretty wicked. So yeah, I mean, if you like tactics games, turn-based, it's not a Dawn of War, it's not a real time.
Yeah, so you had talked about a Warhammer game several months ago, but it was more like a
the war
like
game
a
style.
war game style.
Yeah, that one is also really good. That one's just called Apocalypse.
Apocalypse.
No,
okay.
sorry, not Apocalypse. Sorry, Armageddon. It's
Armageddon.
I get the
okay.
synonyms.
Yeah, I couldn't
mixed
remember
up.
the name of it, but I remember you talking about it.
Armageddon.
Because wargaming,
and it's based off of the war for the planet Armageddon, where the orcs come and attack, and then they have to fight off the orcs.
Okay, because that's kind of a different style altogether of like turn-based.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
that one and this one are both pretty good. This one has way better production values. So like this one has units that animate.
Yeah, I almost feel like some war games like do that on purpose. They're like, no, we're just going to make like cards that stand on the map and kind
basically chits.
Yeah,
that you move around,
because that's what people expect, right? Now,
Yeah, totally.
so Armageddon, or no, I'm sorry, gosh dang, this game, not Armageddon.
Battle Sector.
Battle
This is the
Sector
one I'm
is
talking about.
just the Tyranids and Blood Angels.
Yeah,
so far?
right. So I'm playing through the campaign, and so far I think I did about 10 missions where it's just the Blood Angels versus the AI Tyranids, you know. And then in the 11th mission, the Sisters of Battle show up, and so far I only met up with them, and like, it was just a few units of them with nothing but regular sort of guns. So I haven't seen any of their kind of like special units or anything yet.
Okay.
I think the campaign will end up just being those two Imperial factions, the Space Marines and the Sisters. But there's also a skirmish mode in which you can play as the Tyranids.
Okay.
So that looks pretty cool. And I'd imagine this is a new game, by the way. So
yeah,
the way a lot of games get support after the fact, I wouldn't be surprised if they add like maybe a Tyranid campaign, or maybe even they get outlandish and then like a different faction, like Imperial Guard or
that's kind of what I was wondering is this a base platform for them to just start pumping out different races? So. Now the campaign is like story based. It's not like dynamic, right?
Yeah, it is story based. It's not dynamic. And there's, you get like little vignettes of voiceover where like one of the characters will say a few lines about something or other in between the story. And I've actually been impressed with how well it sticks to the like 40K background from like the source books and the novels and stuff. Because I read a ton of that, and this is actually has found a way to sort of slot in where it's actually doing something pretty interesting if you're like familiar with the canon, as it were.
Sure.
So yeah, all in all, I'm enjoying it. I will say that it's new, so it's still full price. Full price being $30. I went ahead and jumped on it because I thought it looked really cool, and I'm into this stuff anyway. Most people might want to wait a little while because while it is pretty good for a 40K game, keep that in mind. Some of the production values are a little bit wonky, even though it's way better than the other game I was talking about, Armageddon.
Sure.
But it's pretty cool. Yeah. So I've been enjoying it, playing a lot of it.
I'm looking at their roadmap. They do have a console version, new game modes, new maps, new factions, plural DLC.
Yeah, I could see them
tournament
adding
support. It's kind of cool. So interesting.
I could see them adding the Chaos Demons to this game, because they kind of go over it when they're introducing sort of like the intro to where this game is set in the fiction. It's basically like what happens is the Blood Angels, Space Marines on their home planet fight this really long war against the Tyranids, and eventually what happens is some other stuff goes off in the galaxy, and like all the demons come out of the warp and like attack basically everywhere. And in this case, they end up like taking a lot of the Tyranids and fighting amongst themselves also. So I could see them sort of like bringing in the demons into this game.
Yeah,
at some point. And I think that would actually be a good fit, because they would probably be a very melee heavy army. Whereas the Space Marines are a lot of range and some melee. And the Tyranids are probably mostly melee, but with some range also.
Now,
they mix it up.
Does it have like vehicles, or is it mostly infantry based?
It does. Yeah, it's mostly infantry based, but you can get land speeders, which are the anti-grav little speeder tanks. There's also the Ball Predator, which is the Ball being the name of the planet that the Blood Angels are from. BAAL.
Yeah.
And they have a special variant of the sort of mainstay Predator tank that has like dual assault cannons on it, so it's good at mowing down bugs. And yeah, it's pretty cool so far. I think there are a few more units to unlock at this point, but this is also the first game to feature the Primaris Space Marines, which are latter day introductions to the tabletop game. They're basically like bigger, stronger, faster Space Marines.
It's kind of
that are a little bit less
gen. So it seems like it really does try to mimic almost the experience a little bit. Like you wouldn't have, a tabletop full of tanks. You might have one if you spend the points on it, kind of thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much. And I've been pretty impressed with it overall.
Cool. That sounds really cool. I ask all these questions. I'm kind of circling back. So I kind of come and go out of Warhammer 40K. I do like it, and sometimes I kind of burn up on it and fizzle out. But I've actually picked it back up. The game I've been playing again for like the 500th time. Total Warhammer 2.
Nice.
I picked it up because I reinstalled it. They released a free DLC, if you will. There was a new DLC that it released, and Creative Assembly most times, I don't want to say every time because I don't know if that's true. I didn't research, but most times when they put out a DLC, they also put out some like free content for people that don't buy the DLC. So in this case, it's Thoric Ironbrow, who is a dwarf legendary lord. And he has kind of a unique mechanic. He is looking for artifacts of the dowry or whatever, the dwarves from legends of old or whatever. And so like his whole goal, like the way to beat his sort of like just conquer the world campaign is to undercover or find certain artifacts and recombine them, and then they give you bonuses. And it's really cool. They really did quite a bit of work, it seems like, for this character and for the faction overall.
Remind me how that works in this game, because Total War traditionally is a strategy, grand strategy sort of game. So I know that there have been hero characters for quite a while in the series, but how do you do? Is Quest just like manage the overworld map, and when you take this territory, that takes another step in the character's
sort of? So like they build the user interface around it. So like in this case, Thoric, his quest again is to find these artifacts. And so when you look at the artifact panel or whatever, it like tells you what you're trying to build and gives you some information about it, so like lore and backstory. And then if you look, it requires 2 components, and you have to recover both before you can reforge them. So you can actually like click on the component that you don't have, and it will show you on the map where it is. And so you need to take your character to that location. Usually there's a battle there, right? So you go into the strategy view or the tactical view, and you duke it out. And then when you come out victorious, you get the item. So I know a lot of the factions have kind of quests like that, like I'm thinking the elves have like that sword. I totally blanked on the name of this sword, and like certain character, you have to like find it and recover it, and then your character can equip it, and it's like all powerful and all this and stuff. So it's really cool game. I really like the Total War Warhammer 1 and 2, and I'll get 3 when it comes out series. For a lot of people don't care so much for the way that the battles play out. They can be really fast. They feel kind of arcadey compared to, say, Medieval 2 Total War or Rome
Shogun
2 Total War. Yeah, where they're really a little bit slower and more methodical. And the Total War Warhammers really go pretty quick. But I really love the way that they have made each faction feel genuinely unique. Even like, say, the two human factions, like the Empire versus Bretonia, right? And so Warhammer 3, you'll have Kislev, another sort of human faction, if you will. And they'll play completely different because, like,
the
Empire, you have like the electric counts, and you can gather their like support, and it's almost more of a political system versus Bretonia, where you have the different dukes and like a peasant. You can recruit peasants into your army, but that also deducts from your economy because it's peasant based. So like they really play differently, not just like tactically in the battle, but on the overworld map as well. So I jumped into Thoric Ironbrow. He's a dwarf. He focuses more on like the more classical dwarf units. So like your quarrelers with your crossbow guys, your dwarves with shields and axes, as opposed to like the gun units and the flying gyrocopters and stuff, which was always a thing I didn't really care for with the dwarven factions. Was some of those units they just didn't click for me very well. So I'm kind of curious to see how he plays out, kind of go from there. So I just kind of started it. I've mostly been playing Guild Wars 2 and Ultima Online Outlands. And in fact, here we're going to provide a live update right now. I am at 119.4 blacksmithing out of 120. So 0.6 away from legendary blacksmith in Ultima Online Outlands.
Is that asymptotic? Like, can you ever actually get to?
You do. 120 is the hard cap. And once I hit 120, 119.5.
Oh my
So it has been a long journey. I started this character months and months and months ago, and it's been a lot of mining, which is really boring in this game. Yeah, so I've been playing a lot of that.
I hope it never tells you how many hours you've spent mining in that game.
It won't. It just won't. I did share with my kid the other day. We were playing Guild Wars 2 together, and he's like, "Oh, how do you have all this stuff?" Because I was showing him my map, and he's like, "Do you have everything on the map?" And we like looked at like every zone, and they were all 100% exploration complete. I'm like, "I think I do." He's like, "How did you manage that?" I'm like,
crazy,
dude. I typed /age, and it tells you how long you've played that character, and it's over 2,000 hours. I'm like, "Well, there you go, kid."
Hide that from your child. Do not disclose that.
119.6, y'all.
Ooh,
we might make it tonight.
During this show.
I'll keep you guys updated as we go.
We'll look forward to that.
You could have been mining Bitcoin this entire time.
Yeah.
I don't think so. So that's it.
Could have.
Total War Warhammer 2. That's the game I've been playing.
Hell
Nice.
yeah.
Well, I've got some new releases, courtesy of tech-gaming.com. The Ascent. This is
What is this?
the
I've heard a lot about
action
this.
RPG set in like the future.
Like a
I
cyberpunk
want to
future.
say this one
Yeah.
is also on Game Pass. I want
It is
to
on
say
Game
that-
Pass.
Ooh,
Yeah.
is it? Maybe I
Yeah.
need to come back to
actually
Game
have it
Pass.
installed. It's co-op. There's co-op of it. It's an ARPG. I don't know. It's on Game Pass. I haven't downloaded and I haven't played it yet, but it's on my list to check out.
Yeah, I want to
probably
try
this
that one
week.
out too.
Solo and co-op action shooter RPG set in a cyberpunk world. Mega corporation that owns you and everyone
Oh my gosh.
has
it's
just
almost like you made
collapsed.
it
Can
in
you survive
Game Dev
without
Story.
it?
Probably not. Blaster Master 03. Yes, they're still making Blaster Master 0 games. So clearly,
I would
people
like to
want
go
these.
back to Blaster Master. Maybe someday I'll dig into that.
Not
But
me.
It was one of my
Sure
favorite
don't.
Metroidvania games on the NES.
Aside from Metroid.
Yeah.
Picross S Sega Master System Genesis Collect Edition. Everyone loves Picross, so there's one of those out for $10 on the
That's
Switch.
something to teach your children. Let them know how
Yeah.
to play those kinds of games. They're
Yeah, it was
and-
around. I think around 7th, 8th grade is when I kind of got into Picross,
yeah.
and it was like available in like magazines, like little puzzle magazines that we used to play, and before internet,
Oh, like you go to like
Ugh.
Walmart and there's like
Gross,
the
before
180
it.
page.
Yeah, like
Picross
or a game,
book.
like a puzzle magazine that had just puzzles and.
Yeah, they're
I don't
called,
know.
for those of you who are interested in Picross, but maybe the off-brand Nintendo, so they're called nonograms. Nonograms.
I thought
No,
it was
they're called
nanogram.
Picross. Oh, that's
Nanograms.
mammogram.
That's
was
something
mammogram.
else.
Oh, my bad.
Anagram. What's an anagram?
Annapurna
for
Interactive Gram.
Oh, you thought it was an Annapurna? No, that's a video game developer, publisher.
The Imperial Palace has an Annapurna Gate. I think I've told you
Nice.
this before.
Seven steps to, I don't know. What was that thing where it's like, I don't know. Never mind. I digress.
Rad
else did it
Switch and
release?
PC game titles. These are no longer Switch games. They're also cross-platform. They're just goofy names. Bustafellows.
I love this.
All
I
caps.
want to imagine Busta Fellows is the gentleman's version of Busta Rhymes. He travels back in time to like Victorian England, and he becomes Busta Fellows.
Busta Fellows.
Perfect. That's him. I put this
Busta
one on the list because
Longfellows.
when I looked at it, I was like, for some reason, I thought it was Eldest Scrolls. Like this is older than the Elder
Oh, it's-
Scrolls. And then I
6-minute
reread it,
abs.
and it was Eldest Souls.
Eldest
Souls.
Souls.
Anyway, that's why I put it on there is because I
Eldest
thought
Souls sounds like the buggiest game ever.
it probably is. I think Eldest Scrolls would have been a better
It's actually literally a game about being a geriatric.
Dark Souls player.
Dark Souls.
And finally,
player.
Horror
Eating Dark
Tales.
Souls with your walker.
Yeah.
Horror Tales: The Wine.
Ooh.
What does that even
Yeah.
mean?
That one is pretty
You
bad.
know, it's a rad Switch title and
Horror
PC.
Tales. The
I got this for
GameTitle.com.
$5. It comes out of a box.
$2 Chuck.
Yeah,
That's
some
right.
$2 Chuck.
They don't sell those in Utah because they don't.
119.7, y'all.
They don't sell those in grocery stores.
Yeah,
Therefore,
that's true.
Blue Laws, huh?
Deals on the deal front. The Mass Effect 2 digital content. We talked about this a few weeks ago, but basically you can go download all of the extra transmedia content for Mass Effect. Mass Effect
There's
2.
a lot of stuff in that.
It's like 2 gigs.
I didn't
Go pick it
download
up.
it.
Yeah, I downloaded it.
Is it worth
Yeah,
it?
you
Okay.
better do it now because it's going away.
Yeah.
There's comics, there's
You should get
music,
it.
there's art books, there's that type of stuff. You know, it's all digital.
I think I own the comics for Mass Effect, like the
Yeah, you
physical comics.
I have some that came with my collector's edition of Mass Effect 2. So.
I had
free.
an
of them.
iPhone game that they put out of Mass Effect.
Oh
like,
yeah, I
back
remember
on,
that
like,
game. I played that game.
the iPhone 3, and it was
Okay.
like
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mass
Okay.
Effect
So
something.
here's what it includes: 88 iconic tracks, so music, 2 PDF art books, 2 PDF comic books, and a Normandy digital lithograph.
Whoa,
Ooh.
It is
digital lithograph?
available.
That's an NFT.
It's even like signed and numbered. You know, lithograph.
Okay, here's how long
You
it's
frame it.
available. Is available until the earlier of July 31st, which is in the past, or until download capacity is reached. So I guess you're
Oh.
racing the gigabytes.
As of recording, it is still available.
It is.
I'm looking at
downloading
my.
now.
Tell
2 minutes left.
downloading capacity. Okay, guys, we have. What does
We
that
used
mean?
up all the internet.
Oh man, I'm
What
looking
if
up my.
I'm the last
Normandy-
person to download it?
Then this
Get it.
I'll
story's
sell it to
expired.
you guys.
Yeah,
I'm looking at my digital lithograph right now.
Whoa,
How is it? What number did you get?
dude? This is a family show.
Does it have a number? I don't see a number on it.
That was a joke, but that's fine.
SR2. That's the number.
Also, PlayStation Plus games for August: Hunters Arena Legends, the most generic
I-
ass name.
Yeah,
ever.
and it's kind of a generic ass also game. It's a battle royale game, but kind of
No,
based on
I'm
melee
out.
combat in that
I'm out.
ancient Chinese sort of mythological bent. It's all right.
So I'm
It's
actually
fine.
curious about this second one. So this second game didn't come out that long ago.
It's been a
No.
couple of years.
No.
Not Battle for Neighborville. It's newer, and I
A year? It's been a while. It hasn't- we're not talking
September
like
1st,
months.
2020. Not quite
Okay,
a year.
It's been a while.
Yeah,
It's been a
within
year
the
almost.
last 12 months. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it
Just
didn't
saying.
really. I feel like when it first came out, like I wasn't even sure if it was a Plants vs Zombies Garden Warfare spinoff or not, which I think it is.
It
is.
is,
Um,
yeah.
I played
But they
it
never-
for a minute.
They never showed any of the stuff with it, and so I wasn't.
I never
sure
saw
why they were-
anything on it.
It's like a class-based Plants vs Zombies shooter.
Yeah, I mean, I
Well,
played
that's what the Garden Warfares were.
I
It's
played
the
Garden
sequel to
Warfare.
that, basically.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think
It's
so, you're
weird.
right. And you know what? Those actually are fun. They're good.
They're good.
It's fine.
My
It's
kids
just-
really like them.
They're fine.
They're
fine.
pretty good.
Also, Tennis World Tour 2, which is also probably fine.
Fine. Yeah.
Xbox games with gold for August. Darksiders 3 is available if you haven't gotten that free from about 20 other places
Yeah.
that have given that game away. Lost Planet 3, which if you haven't played Lost Planet 3, you probably don't need to play Lost Planet 3. And Ukulele. We all know what that is, I think.
Good one.
It's out, yeah. They've also given that for free elsewhere, which is also fine. And Garu Mark of the Wolves, which is one of my favorite one of these old school 2D fighting games, which is fantastic. It's probably 20 years old at this point. Neo Geo game, I believe. Anyway,
Oh, wow.
that's also out. And it's really good.
20 years ago was 2001.
Yeah,
it was probably
still
20 years ago that game came out.
21st century. You know what? Hey, has anybody else seen people start referring to things in the previous century or like the the
Like
20th
classic.
century? And it's
20th
stuff from,
century classics.
Last
yeah,
century.
They're like, oh,
It's
like
like the
classic music, like
1990s.
Nirvana, and you're like, get out,
Yes.
get out,
Yes,
you're
they're
grounded.
like, oh,
I don't
they
even know
were
who you are.
musicians in the 20th century. Come on.
Oh man, you know what's bad is I was watching Captain Marvel, the movie Captain Marvel yesterday.
Oh yeah.
And they have all these like 90s songs that they put on, like, whenever there's like a cut to the next scene, that's like all of a sudden there's like TLC's Waterfalls is playing. And it's
Don't
just like,
go chasing waterfalls.
stop playing all these songs from my youth.
Yeah.
And Sonic Youth
Dale
comes
is
on.
mad. Dale is
Uh,
mad right
Constantly hearing that stuff in my high school art class all the time. Well, guys, we got one.
That's it. That's the show.
All right, gentlemen, we have some news this week and some fairly significant stuff, actually, some kind of oddball things too. The first one I wanted to open with, which is open for your discussion and reflection. Dell, noted computer company, you may have heard of.
I
Dell.
bought one of their machines one time.
Yeah, dude,
I
you
am
got a Dell.
recording on a Dell XPS right now.
Whoa. Well,
Awesome.
listen, you guys got in under the wire, Indiana Jones pulling his hat under the stone descending door style, because Dell is canceling shipments of Alienware gaming PCs to several U.S. states, specifically California, Colorado, Hawaii, Oregon, Vermont, and Washington. So, Dale, you are out of luck, my
I
friend.
didn't want one of their crappy PCs anyway.
But here's the reason why. Why are they doing this, you might ask? Because of power consumption restrictions in those states. At first, I thought this was like a protest thing. Like Dell was like, "Oh yeah, well you can't have this anyway." But apparently, this is due to specifically states that are limiting the operation or the sale of machines with a certain level of power consumption.
Ones that can mine Bitcoin.
Yeah. I almost
Yeah.
wonder if it has something to do with that. I don't really know. The interesting thing about this, though, and I found this kind of fascinating, is that high-end PCs actually are exempt from this, and I'll tell you why. Because this does not have to do with the power consumption of the PC when it is in use, but rather in its idle state, in its low power state. So what they are trying to regulate, apparently, is the consumption of power by PCs when they are not in use.
When they're gaming. Or when they're not gaming.
When they're not gaming, that's right. Which is kind of interesting. I think this is the first time that I've heard of
Always be gaming.
all ABG. Always be computing. Always be computing.
Speaking of always computing, 119.8, y'all.
Ooh, getting there. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. So I don't know. I wonder, this is the first time I've heard of anything like this. Any commentary on this, you guys? Is this something that
I
is
think
this
it's
in our
dumb.
future?
It's kind of crazy.
There's so many
I'll
other
be
ways to
honest.
save energy. There's so many other ways to save energy.
I mean,
Yeah.
listen, do you think Dale's onto something, though, with the Bitcoin mining?
Nah.
No, I don't think anyone cares. I think Taiwan's just going to keep bulldozing
I was going
PS4s.
to say, we've actually had government step into this arena
So
with
Hey, the Energy Star
Lethal
ratings
force.
on like appliances? What if they just did that for GPUs?
They give
Well-
you tax breaks if you bought cheaper
Yeah,
computers.
exactly.
Didn't use as
like,
much power.
do they think that like PC gamers are a large are like here's the question, are there enough people playing high end computers that this is an issue? You know what I mean?
No.
Like the majority of computer owners are running like Chromebooks or $300 Windows
For
laptops,
iPads
right?
and iPhones. They ain't
Right?
using
Like
computers.
I would-
surely I'm correct. Like PC gamers
course.
are like
I don't know when the last time my wife
15% at
used a computer
most.
for anything. She doesn't use a computer. Nobody uses computers. Like normal people don't use computers anymore
Well, listen
unless
to
they
this
work.
also.
Only
with a computer.
gamers.
Here's the other thing. They are phasing this in because this is not the end of this. This is rather the beginning. Starting in December, there are going to be tier 2 requirements expanding to, quote, computers with high-speed networking capability, multi-screen notebooks with cyclical behavior, which I don't know what that means, and monitors with high refresh rates. So this is becoming
Is this
a thing.
this is only Dell that's doing all this?
well, I think this is states
States
so
enacting like power regulations, but
that's correct.
and
Dell is
companies
falling
reacting
under-
to them.
Yeah, that's right. So this may well be affecting other industries, but for the purposes of the scope of this particular podcast.
Yeah, I
this
feel
is
like
kind of-
this is beginning stages of suddenly. You're right. There needs to be like an EcoStar where a company can certify their product has a low power state it can go into, and that it is set to that by default. and then it's up to the user to not do that or something, right? Because like people have access to very high power consumptive technology, far more than a computer. Like, I don't know. This is strange. Give this a month and let it develop more.
But if you think about it though, what in your house consumes the most power, right? It's maybe
dryer.
like air conditioning.
Your
Dryers
air
are
conditioner,
different.
your dryer.
Yeah.
Your iron, you know. But things like that you don't use for very often, for very long, right? Like your dryer, you maybe
my
do,
power bill is insane in the summertime.
Mine got up
air
higher
conditioning,
than
yeah.
somehow I'm above my neighbor's average now
So
this month. They said
one fun thing about Texas is a lot of people here, I mean, gas heat is more common, but a lot of people still have electric heat. And in the winters, if it does get cold, is an absolute beast on the electric.
We know
grid.
all about it from last winter,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Like,
Yeah, last winter.
Yeah.
yeah.
So it's your air conditioning equipment is number one, right? Like your central air blower, your air condenser outside, your electric
But I
furnace
think
if you have electric furnace.
If you were to compare the like power supply unit on your average like gaming PC to, you know, like other household appliances, I think you might be surprised that it does draw a lot of power.
It
like
does
700,
in a high
700
state.
watt power supply on all the time.
Yeah.
Well, except for it's on, but it's not drawing that much power.
Yeah, not all the time.
Here's an interesting thing. Apparently, and this is from PCGamer.com, they have kind of done a little bit of looking at this, and they said that maybe part of the reason that this is affecting PCs and particularly gaming PCs is that devices that are expandable tend to draw more idle power, which is kind of interesting.
What does that mean?
I guess the idea is that you assume as a manufacturer that you're going to need to supply power to more components if it's an expandable device. So devices like a PC that has, you know, extra slots for things and it's got to be able to supply power to those things. Those devices just tend by engineering to draw more idle power.
So here you go. Here's I just Googled this. I don't know the Escapist magazine. It's on a forum, whatever. Take it with some salt. It says an extreme gamer, whatever that means, playing on a high-end system, whatever that means, for 7.2 hours each day would use 1,890 kilowatt hours each year, which would come out to about $200 total on your electric bill. To put it in perspective, my electric bill is more than that a month.
Yeah.
In the summer.
Yeah,
Same with me.
That doesn't seem like a lot over the year.
Right.
Anyhow, it's been enough that it has stopped the manufacturer Dell from shipping things to those states. So just gotta be on the lookout for this. It may be something that might come back into the news again, but
it's a weird thing. It's weird.
It's kind of weird.
It's kind of weird.
Elsewhere in weird hardware things, weird high-end hardware things, the PlayStation 5 firmware now, as of right now, allows for expandable internal SSD storage. But it comes with some caveats. We were talking about this a little bit in our Discord, that the hard drive standard, the M2 SSD, requires some additional heat dissipation hardware for it. So you can't actually just swap in, swap out. So for those of you, and this is new to me, I didn't realize this until the PS5 came out. But solid state hard drives, the new format of hard drive, they're not the, you know, even the, you know, wallet sized, you know, super thin solid state drives, they're not those anymore. Solid state M2 hard drives kind of look like memory cards, like little
yeah, they're not very big.
No, they're not very big at all, but apparently they put out a lot of heat. And so the funny thing about this is that if you choose to put in an aftermarket hard solid state drive, Sony has said, well, you're also going to need to put in some sort of heat sink, essentially. And if you look at some photos of these things, it's gigantic and weird. It's like this big, giant honeycomb thing just to dissipate the heat. Did you guys see this? We were talking about this in Discord a little bit. And Sony doesn't really provide this. You're more or less on your own to find something that fits the proper form factor. And it's kind of it looks like a big hassle to me. The other thing that I found kind of interesting is apparently, even if you find a hard drive that meets that specification, I guess the retail solid state drives don't really measure up to the one that comes natively inside the PS5 itself. It's apparently some sort of just wild piece that they've got in there for solid state and transfer rates and such. So I've seen a lot of people complaining about this on social media, like, "Oh, Sony, why didn't you just go with some proprietary format and call it a day," or something like that. I've seen folks, sort of a lot of people, say that this process, this advisory, this guidance from Sony more or less makes it more trouble than it's worth to expand the storage on your PlayStation 5. I saw you guys, LeGrand, I think you had something in particular to say about this, that it just looked ridiculous. We were sort of at a loss as to initially, like, is this real? It's real, guys. So
There's no heatsink on my NVMe drive or my M2 drive in my computer. I don't understand. That's why I don't understand, but
yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe you're
I don't
just
know.
not computing hot enough.
I
Maybe
guess
you need a higher end Dell gaming PC. Oh, too bad you can't get one.
Sorry about
I
that.
can. You know, there's gonna be a black market for Dell computers. Like, yo, we're making a run to the border, bro, to pick up some Dell gaming PCs.
New flat form factor just imported from Taiwan.
So here's the thing: is like on my PS5, and I haven't done a lot on the PS5, quite honestly. Like what I have done, I've enjoyed and had fun with, but I filled up that hard drive like pretty damn quick, you know, with stuff that I thought I was going to play.
Yep.
Which I may or may not have. However, I mean, here's the reality: is I don't have cap data, and I know that a lot of people probably do, but it's easy for me to delete and install because it doesn't take that long. I have really fast internet. I don't have data caps. It's not that big of a deal unless I want to play something immediately.
Yeah.
But even then, if I want to play it immediately, I still got to download it from somewhere, right? So it's not that big of a deal to me to not have to expand. It's more of a convenience thing, and that's fine. But I mean, I'm constantly deleting and reinstalling games on my PC, and I've got 3 terabytes, and I'm still dealing with it there. So having to deal with it in PS5 is not that big of a deal, in my opinion.
I've mostly been kind of keeping 1 or 2 games on the hard drive and just not even downloading this. I've been adding a lot of things to my account and then just not really doing anything with it. They can store it for me on the cloud. You know, I'll play.
Exactly. It's like internet speeds are at a point where downloading a 30 gigabyte game is going to take you 10 minutes. 15 minutes maybe. And I mean, at least where I'm at, I know, and I understand there's different circumstances for different people. I've got really fast internet, and it's quite honestly, I don't pay any more than I did for my shitty internet 2 years ago. Like, it's the same internet cost, and it doesn't affect me, and I know that it affects others. And this is kind of ridiculous. I mean, everyone kind of complained about Xbox's memory cards costing $200. Like where if you bought an Xbox Series S, you're gonna have to expand it anyways, and that's an extra $200 anyways to expand it. So might as well get the X regardless. Might as well.
Yeah.
And everyone made fun of that, and now all of a sudden, like, Sony's hoops they want you to jump through suddenly makes that Xbox option look okay, right? Like, I don't know.
That's right. Well,
especially because you look at the prices for some of these really high end. Like, there's an article on Eurogamer that kind of talks about, here's the best drives for your PS5, and it's like, here's a terabyte drive for $200. Is that not what the Xbox little memory card costs? $200 for that terabyte of expansion?
I was gonna say it'll be interesting to see in 4 or 5 years if this becomes less of a. The other thing too is we need Nyko to come in and save us. They need some sort of like all-in-one upgrade module.
It's like you pull off the wings off of your damn PlayStation, and also there's like a cooling shell you can put on your PlayStation Drive
on there,
and it's like neon and lights up, and you can order a green one or a pink one.
Strobes.
Yeah, I like it. I like it.
I'll get the Mad Catz version.
The future can't come soon enough. Last thing I've got here on the big boy news is we talked about Annapurna on a couple of occasions during the show. Annapurna, like Jared mentioned a little bit earlier, had done a sort of a showcase.
Yeah.
Just gonna run through these real quick. We've got one, and this, I won't go into too much depth on them, and they're all gonna make you cry. These games, I guess, but we've got one called The Artful Escape, which is a game about it says here, the nephew of a folk music legend coming to terms with who he is. You know what? That is like the most Annapurna game description.
The nephew of a folk music legend.
Yeah. Similarly, I saw a book that just came out about one of the grandchildren of J.R.R. Tolkien, and it doesn't have anything to do with J.R.R. Tolkien, but they still had to throw the name in there. But this actually has kind of an interesting voice cast. Michael Johnston, Carolyn Kinley, Lena Headey, Jason Schwartzman, Mark Strong, Carl Weathers. Throw throw a couple potatoes in there and a soup bone, and baby, you got yourself a stew going. Neon White, also, which they've actually shown before. This is sort of an anime-looking first-person shooter. One thing that I respect about Annapurna is that they seem to be willing to dip into sort of
Everything.
standard, exactly, and like standard, rote sort of game types, but to put kind of an interesting, weird spin on them. This one is based on a couple of sniper assassins or something like that, with like some weird Oni masks. Looks kind of neat. Outer Loop Games, I guess, is a new studio that they're showing off some of their stuff. Looks like they've got a game that is tackling immigrant culture growing up in the United States, gossiping aunties, overbearing parents, and family pressure.
And man, I can't get excited about Annapurna games, dude. You
Really?
read me these scenarios and these games. I'm like, I can't
tell
care
you,
about it. I
One
can't.
day
do
there
it.
will be one for you, though. And
When?
I don't know.
Bring it.
Maybe it's one of these. I don't know. I will say
Sometime.
I have not played an Annapurna game that I didn't like by the time I was done with it. I'll be interested to see with the
Sure.
last stop if I make it there. But genuine, I mean, they do. Jared ran through a whole bunch of them a little bit earlier. I mean, it's
Yeah.
stuff like
Is there one that has
Wilds.
chocobos or one that takes place in the deep south? If so, then I'm in.
So
There's
far,
probably one in the deep south.
There's probably
In
one
the-
in the deep
in
south.
the late
Outer
1800s.
Wilds is like deep south in space.
in outer space. Yeah,
No,
exactly.
it's got to be deep south in the late 1800s
South of
Okay.
space.
with
Looking for something new from the creator of Everyday Shooter. We've got one here from Storyteller. Storyteller, the game, puzzle game about crafting stories, believe it or not. There's also a demo out on Steam right now for that. Solar Ash, parkour, alien worlds, things like that. Ivy Road is the creator of Stanley Parable and a beginner's guide. That's the creator, Davey Reedon. Has partnered with the co-creator of Gone Home and Tacoma, as well as the composer to Minecraft, Daniel Rosenfeld, who goes by C418 as his stage name, to create a new game that's being published by Annapurna. We don't know yet what that's going to be, but that looks pretty good. Blendo Games releasing a game called Skin Deep, which is a first-person shooter with a sneeze meter.
Blendo Games, everything that guy makes is
That's the one with the
priceless.
space cats, right?
Off the wall.
That's like the follow-up to Flotilla with the space cats.
Flotilla was so good with like the weird animal captains. Oh my gosh.
Oh man, I love 30 Flights of Loving is really good.
Yeah, all
I
of his
remember
stuff is great.
Loving too. Quadrilateral Cowboy.
Yeah.
Let's see. And then they're actually going to be releasing some of their games that Legrand won't like onto various platforms. The Pathless is coming to Steam. What Remains of Edith Finch, which is excellent, is coming to iOS.
I beat that game.
What Remains of Edith Finch is awesome.
It was fine.
It's one of my favorites.
I know it is.
I Am Dead, Telling Lies, and Gorogoa coming to Xbox Game Pass pretty soon. So a few other things there. You can check out all of that stuff on the internet. But yeah, looking forward to at least one or two of those from over here. A couple of new items we've got here in the news. Valve is in the middle of an antitrust lawsuit that has actually been brought on by Wolfire Games. This is specifically with respect to their take from publishing of developer stuff on Steam. Wolfire is the creator of Receiver and Overgrowth and kind of some other. It's a fairly small developer. And they basically claim that Valve prevents developers and publishers from selling Steam keys at lower prices on other storefronts than it does on Steam, which, potentially maybe
Makes sense.
kind of valid. Yeah. Valve has responded, though, on multiple levels, saying that it has no duty under antitrust law to allow developers to use free Steam keys to undersell prices for the games that they sell on Steam or to provide Steam keys at all. And then they claim that the only evidence provided of a requirement for similar pricing on non-Steam enabled games is a single anecdote of Valve allegedly telling someone that they shouldn't give a non-Steam enabled game for free on Discord, something like that. Valve also defended their 30% cut, saying that there's no evidence that it's out of the ordinary. Interestingly, though, in recent developer surveys, almost nobody said that they value Valve's 30% cut. But they did say that something like 15
Of course not.
might be more. Yeah. Well, and I think in general, I mean, Valve is now a little bit behind the curve on all of this. I mean, we've been reporting on this podcast for a while that Epic Games has lowered its publishing fees. Microsoft also, Amazon, even Itch, they're like basically giving stuff away for free over there to publish stuff. So yeah.
Well, again, in the same vein as Apple, go ahead and release your stuff not on Steam and see how it does.
Yeah. But also with respect to the Apple lawsuit, just because it's their storefront doesn't mean that they're behaving in a way that doesn't draw the attention of regulations. So, anyhow, I guess the other thing is that Wolfire claims that Valve also holds 75% of the market through Steam, but
There it
Valve
is.
says it's devoid of any factual support. So,
Not their
anyhow.
fault. Not their fault.
Yeah.
I mean, I really like Epic's. I like the Epic launcher. It's fine. Like I'm not tied to any of these. In fact, I probably would not buy on Steam first. I don't know. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me.
And it's been kind of an interesting slow road to that too. Like, remember when Epic first,
we hated Origin for a while,
Yeah,
and then
exactly.
we hated Uplay. We still hate Uplay.
I feel like we still hate all those.
We're okay with BattleNet because it's Blizzard, and now we hate BattleNet. Like, it's
and Blizzard
and Blizzard. Yeah, it's like I don't know, man. Like it's I think what's happened is that I'm too old to give a shit. Okay, I just don't care anymore.
I just want everything on Steam, but if it's free on Epic, I'll take it there too.
I don't care. I don't care because half the stuff that I bought 10 years ago on Steam, I'm not going to play anyways ever again, and whatever. It is what it is. I prefer the Game Pass model. I'll just pay my $15 a month and play all the things.
Yep. On the other hand, I guess it's the developers who do have a monetary stake in how the stuff is presented to the public on the storefront. But I hear you.
And they have to pay to be like featured and all that. Like, it's not like they get.
Yeah, exactly.
The game discovery on Steam is okay, but I mean, there's how many games come out on Steam every day? Like more than what's in our list on Tech-Gaming.
Oh yeah,
they don't even list them anymore. Yeah.
Well, listen, from his bunker built from the ill-gotten gains of developers worldwide, Gabe Newell has laid out a proclamation from New Zealand. Is he still in New Zealand? I don't even know. I'm assuming he's still down there.
Who cares?
I wouldn't come back here.
Yeah.
No.
I probably wouldn't stay
Zealand.
there either. But he says that VR is still a thing for Valve. He says they are in it for the long haul. It's going to be a very long haul, he says. In fact, here's his direct quote in an interview with IGN.
It's going to be a very long haul. Is that his quote?
Yes. With VR, our expectation is it's a very long haul and that there are fundamentally important technologies that are being developed. And if at any point you're narrowly defining the goalposts and saying, how's that doing against the latest CSGO update, you're always going to end up making bad decisions based on that, which I find that to be really quite an interesting comment from him. Actually, I'm specifically interested in what Dale says about that. I tend to think of Dale as sort of the more pragmatic.
I mean, I feel like if you're taking a cut of 30% on every game sold on Steam, you can long haul all day long.
Do whatever you want. I'm all for Valve having their skunkworks or whatever. I just have zero interest in VR. For as long as it's a thing where you have to like put on the visor and isolate yourself from the world around you, I just don't.
That's what it is.
Yeah,
it's a virtual reality.
So here it is. One of the kids was standing right over here earlier and on VR, and like I guess the sun set, so it got dark in the room, so it like kicked him off, and he's like, oh, I had to go turn all the lights on, and I mean like all the lights to get it to work. And I'm like, that ain't for me. I'm just gonna blind myself. I'm just gonna sit here and blast my face with radiation.
You should have reflected yourself onto him and saved him.
I can see what's behind you so much better now.
I know, right?
Well, hey, speaking of Blizzard and hating BattleNet and Bobby Kotick, let's bring this one out
specifically.
Bobby Kotick did come out with a follow-up statement to last week's news about allegations of harassment and poor behavior in Blizzard.
He came out and said, hey, did you see me in that movie Moneyball?
Wolf of Wall Street. He says that he says that Blizzard's initial response to their lawsuit was tone deaf. And if you recall, last week we talked about how Blizzard had said that the investigators from the state of California were misrepresenting facts and all kinds of things. And so Bobby Kotick came out and says, oh, yes, after, of course, quite a significant backlash, not the least of which is a market backlash. I've embedded in our show notes here a little graph showing the after hours trading for the NASDAQ stock price for Blizzard Activision. And it's just kind of interesting to see the timeline where the stock takes a fairly significant dip by, I don't know, probably about 15%, I would say there.
Probably like 5% there, but
It goes from 92 down to 82. It's it's probably about 10,
So
15%.
I always love it when companies or people high up in companies apologize that basically people got mad.
Yeah.
Sorry that you're upset with it. Like, it's such a non-apology. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, he definitely has some other motivations. I'm sure they would not have, he probably would not have done that of his own personal volition if there weren't outside influence. Best construction, maybe he would have, but it is kind of interesting to look at the timeline of the stock price and his second response to this. Speaking of things that have changed rather abruptly, Nintendo had plans to be involved in the Tokyo Olympics, which are about halfway through right now. I think we still have
last week is coming up.
Another few days. Yep, that's right. And a few interesting things have come out about this. So last week, I think we had talked about how the Parade of Nations had a lot of video game music, and a couple of things that I don't think was in the original plan. I feel like they got out some intern's Spotify playlist, and they were just like, here's my.
I feel
Chrono
like
Trigger
Nintendo's contribution to that was they were going to like shoot red shells at people as they walked out,
Drop some
but they're like,
bananas.
no, we can't do this.
Yeah. So there's some. Apparently, they pulled out rather abruptly. In fact, according to a report from the Shukan Bunshun, which is just the newspaper there in, I guess, Shukan. I don't know. Documents showing the earlier plans for the event included unused musical tracks from some of the pieces of video game music, including Super Mario, The Legend of Zelda, and Pokemon, as well as some more substantial involvement, including a little segment where popular singer/actress Lady Gaga would disappear, wearing a Super Mario hat, would disappear down one of the warp pipes. And then I think somebody else was supposed to come out in Japan, to do like a little introduction, konnichiwa, whatever it is.
Wow.
They were going to do. And they didn't.
Japan for Mario. Hi.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, I remember when they announced it, though. Do you remember when they first announced who was going to get it? And they actually did like this whole Super Mario warp pipe. I can't remember who came out of it. It was like Satoru Iwata.
So weird, man.
was
I know
dead.
Dale has ties to Japan, but man, weird. It's just weird.
It
is.
It is kind of weird. Well, and so I just a couple comments on this. One is that the Tokyo Olympics, I think, are under at least a little bit of, I guess, bad.
Oh, people hate it.
Bad reflections. Yeah, like it shouldn't be going on.
Nobody
it's a
wanted it.
health risk, that sort of thing. The other thing, though, that I remember specifically with respect to the music is that the composer, the guy who they had doing the music for it, had to back out because of allegations of bullying when he was a kid or something like that. And so they had to come up with some
This guy, when this dude was a kid, he was a bully. Therefore, he's shunned from everything in his professional life. Like, screw that, dude.
That's how it works these days.
Kids suck. Period. It doesn't matter.
People suck. Period.
Yes.
So anyhow, I just thought that was kind of an interesting little report there out of Japan. One or two more items here. Last item that I've got in this section of the news is something that LeGrand had mentioned last week, the Playdate, which is this improbable, weird little Game Boy Advance SP thing with a crank on the side of it. Went on pre-orders this past week. And I guess people want this little monstrosity. It sold about 20,000 units in about 20 minutes. And LeGrand, you had said that you thought about this. What did you end up?
I did not buy one. I actually looked into it. By the time I had considered looking at it again to make a purchase, it was like delivery in Q3 of 2022. And I'm like, yeah, like whatever. And my brother ended up picking one up. And I was looking at it, and it's actually a pretty cool little concept. It's like $200 or something, $180, something like that.
I really like the concept. I actually a while ago, before it went on sale recently, I was like, that would be really cool to have.
Kind of neat,
but I didn't pull.
It's got like open development tools. It's got like anyone can just make a game and publish and sideload it. So you could make a game, put it up on a website, and distribute it yourself, and people just sideload to it. They also have like a series. So when you buy the game, you're going to be getting a series of game content just as part of the platform. and then they'll continue to release additional seasons of content that you can just
it's like
get access to.
It's just stuff. You just get games for it, and it's like you don't go looking for. I mean, they just are what they are, kind of.
And it said on there like you might like the games, you might not like the games, but it's probably worth it for you to try out. Like that's their marketing. It's like if you're into freaking Annapurna, like you'd probably be into this.
This is what it is, right? Yeah.
I'm actually not into this even in the least.
It's because you don't understand it, Jeremy. You don't even get us, man.
The games have not touched me in my heart, and the power of friendship is dead inside.
Hey, it's only $179 to pre-order.
You know what? I've paid more for a single vinyl record than that. So
that's right.
Yeah, it's pretty.
Your Playdate
I don't know what to think about this. I just wonder what the games would be and how many of them there could be.
But they look like Game & Watch games. Like I'm sure.
Yeah, they do look pretty minor, right?
Yeah, I mean it's fine.
And the crank, I don't know.
And you know what?
Interesting things can you do with the crank?
20,000 people decided that they wanted these in 20 minutes. So clearly, I am not the arbiter.
No, they decided in like the last 2 to 3 years since this thing was first announced that they want it, and then they were given the opportunity to buy it and did in the first 20 minutes. But are they trying to sell more of that than that of these, or are they happy with that number?
Well, I'm sure they're happy
permanently, or what? Like, what's the deal with this?
Says they're sort of doing the same thing like they're doing with the Steam Decks, I think, where it's like you can still order it, but they're going to tell you you're not going to get it for 2 years or whatever.
Like right now, it's shipping in 2022.
If they're doing like one season of content of this, whatever that turns out to be, like, does that mean that like in another 2 or 3 years, there's like a Playdate 2 that has like, slightly better specs or whatever? And they do it all over again?
They'll finally crack that technology nut and make the Playdate 2 that's got 4K.
It's made by the same people who published Firewatch, Untitled Goose Game, and Play With Your Food.
Panic.
So
they're based here in Portland.
So there you go. It's the most Portland gaming system you can imagine, Dale.
It kind of is.
Basically.
It kind of is. And guys, that's all the regular news that we've got for this week. But wrapping up this episode, we've still got the speed run. Start the music.
Pew, pew, pew.
Jared, I leave that thing in every week, whatever that is you're doing.
Absolutely. That is the music, guys. I don't know if you knew that. We don't have a budget for actual content, like licensed content music. So
no.
It's just someone going pew, 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 pew.
Hopefully nobody notices.
I'll kick it off.
Go.
The next concert event in Fortnite will be Ariana Grande Friday, August 6th. So upcoming Friday.
And just anybody can log in and watch this, right? You don't have to like pay or something.
Until they lock you out. Like I think there's a cap on the number of people that can log in.
Really?
Yeah, because remember there were people who were trying to get in to see the, like when the asteroid comes down and it's like, oh, I couldn't log in, so I have to watch the streamer. Whatever. You know what? Instead of logging into Fortnite, just watch somebody streaming it on Twitch.
Just go look up Ariana Grande on YouTube if you'd rather.
Enjoy in the moment of Ariana Grande.
I agree. I think it's kind of neat that they do this, and I'm all for it. I'm not going to do it, but I get it.
More power to them.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. Yep.
Hey, the same government agency that's suing Activision Blizzard has a lawsuit ongoing with Riot Games.
I think we knew about this from a while
more information, press 1 now.
Yeah.
Same sort of allegations as with Blizzard.
I mean, it is interesting that a number of companies are just sort of distilling most of the, power and money and that sort of thing. So I think it's appropriate at some point that someone looks into it, make sure that everything is on the up and up. Sony has delayed Horizon Forbidden West until next year, leaving us again to ask, what is there to play on the PlayStation 5? I don't think this one had been delayed yet, so it was due for one.
Yeah.
I think everyone.
There's at least 3 more coming, guys. Don't worry.
Yeah, well, that's right. That's right.
Jeremy, you could play Final Fantasy 14 on your PlayStation if you don't have a case of trypophobia.
Oh.
Because they apparently had to change the Legrand, you probably know what this is about. They changed the icon for a new class because it was
the Sage class is a class coming with Endwalker.
It was giving people bouts of what they call trypophobia, which I've actually heard of this before. I
had a couple of friends that suffer from this trypophobia.
It's like when you see like weird patterns that look like bumps or voids or holes that give you a weird feeling. Kind of. I don't quite understand it, but it's I wonder if it's akin to like how some people are extremely freaked out by like spiders, like more so than normal. Like people that like mod their games to take the spider models out and put in like something else instead.
Yeah. This one was interesting because it wasn't like a face full of holes, but instead it was like a character who had some floating swords or something like that.
Yeah, and the
maybe
sword design and the icon had little holes at the where the hilt would be.
Oh, like some of the
I have to
armor
see the
filigree.
original icon just to like see if I can figure out what.
I guess I don't have it because I'm looking at it.
Well, I mean, we can talk about trypophobia, but yeah. Anyway, people are experiencing whatever from it. It is what it is. It's fine. The new icon, they basically filled in the holes and it looks the same. It's no big deal.
Cool.
Yep. Is it my turn?
Yeah.
It is your turn.
Oh, shit. Facebook is halting sales of the Oculus Quest 2 due to facial comfort concerns. And so this is a thing that basically they've been replacing. People have been complaining about the foam pad that the thing goes up against your face. And they've been offering a new version of that, like I don't know, probably a fake leather version or whatever. And now they're basically not going to be distributing Oculus Quest 2s with those anymore. They're going to recall them all and reconfigure them with new face things.
I have actually received this recall. Voluntary recall, only the removable foam facial interface.
Right.
Health and comfort, top priority. To request a free silicone cover, click or tap, go to my. So yeah, they're going to replace it with a silicone one.
That's cool. I mean, I like that comfort.
It's free. Hey, like if you have one, go check it out. Yeah, you can request it right off your account, your Oculus account. So
nice,
cool,
nice. I think Jared was going next.
Total War Saga Troy. So Total War Saga Troy had this weird middle ground where they'd have like mythical creatures, but they were just like humans with like masks on, kind of thing.
Yeah, like
weird
the Minotaur.
Yeah, and it was just like a big guy with like a club. Yeah, they said nuts to that. You're actually just going to get mythological stuff now. So there's going to be like real mythological beasts and stuff in the game. So I feel bad for that big guy with the club. Like he was kind of it for a while, but no one cares about him anymore.
I think they're just reacting to your particular Jared adoption of Total War Warhammer.
Yeah, I don't know.
We need more beasties. They're moving away from historical stuff. What do you think? I mean, have they burned through all of the like strict?
No, they've said they're still working on a new historical title, as well as Warhammer 3, as well as the sagas. So I think they're just doing more and selling more.
That Creative Assembly is a pretty big studio, from what I understand.
Yeah, they've grown quite a bit.
Sony's PlayStation 5 is their fastest selling console ever. It sold 10 million units worldwide since its launch in November, less than a year ago.
Where are people finding them?
That's the thing. This is even with these supply constraints. So just to give you a couple quick numbers here, the PlayStation 5 reached the milestone on July 18th, which is 249 days after its launch. PlayStation 4 had sold that 271 days after its launch, so about 30 days. And so on and so forth. But yeah, just imagine how much they'd be selling if it were not supply constrained.
You know what? I bet it's like some Saudi royal is just buying them by the shipload. Just like
he's building a yacht out of them.
Yeah, he has some kind of like weird like fetish for the design of the PS5 and has to own all of them. Anyway, Nintendo, they're closing down the Dr. Mario World mobile game. After only a few short months of its existence. What is up with Nintendo and their mobile games?
I remember they had announced last year that they were going to be backing away from mobile. They said that it was just not meeting their fiscal expectations, I guess. I will say that I really liked Dr. Mario World. I thought it was actually.
But why put it out and then like immediately abandon it?
I feel like Nintendo's backing out of mobile because it's too easy to sign in. The internet, like online options, are all joined together, and it's like makes too much sense. And they're like,
we cannot have this convenience.
What about the children?
Yeah.
Dead Space Remake is being led by Assassin's Creed's director Eric Baptizat, Baptize it.
He was
Baptize.
the creative director for Valhalla, which I
Right.
think is really good. I actually started. I reinstalled that to finish playing it.
Wow.
I
Apparently, he
haven't
was also
started.
one of those. I think he was also one of those longtime alums from Ubisoft. He was there for something like 20 years, and then jumped ship over to EA to go to this undisclosed project over at EA Motive. Is that who's doing it? So I don't know, kind of interesting, and he apparently has a pretty good track record with doing that stuff. So.
Man,
So-
Dead Space came out like 14 years ago or something now. That's crazy.
So I don't even understand this next one, but I'm going to read it anyway. Future
I can
Lab,
argue.
parentheses, Velocity, teams up with Thunderful, parentheses, SteamWorld Dig sister company, in parentheses, for a Velocity-esque
Quote.
game.
Quote.
Quote.
Velocity,
With a
yeah.
hyphen.
Okay, I wrote this one. I
Gosh
should have
dang
probably...
it, Jeremy.
No, doesn't it make sense? Okay, so Future Lab is the company that made the game Velocity, which is the only top-down vertical scroller that I really like. It's something that they've been doing all the way back to the PS Vita, to the little PS Mobile, or it was even before the PS Mobile, the minis that they did on PlayStation Minis, and then they kind of developed it into a full game, and then there was Velocity 2X. So this game, Future Lab, is pairing up with Thunderful Games. Thunderful is a publisher slash kind of developer Image and Form was the company, the developer that did SteamWorld Dig, SteamWorld Dig 2, SteamWorld Quest, all of those things. And so these two companies are going to be collaborating together on a game that will they've clarified on Twitter, will kind of have the same DNA as something like Velocity, which is an excellent game. But they'll be partnering with this company, Thunderful Games, to do that. So I thought it was just kind of a cool announcement.
I'm glad you've explained this to us, Jeremy.
Yeah.
It was
mean
just
that
a way for
sincerely.
Jeremy to get some PS Vita recognition.
I had to talk about the Vita.
It's ridiculous.
I had to talk about the Vita.
Well, lastly, for our Brazilian listeners, Brazil is apparently the only place in the world where you will be able to soon go down to your Krispy Kreme donut and get a Halo 20th anniversary Master Chief helmet donut called, quote, Infinite Donut.
Is
And
it called
that's
that in English, or?
No, it's in Portuguese because it's Brazil.
Brazilian-ish.
It's the Infinite Donut for, of course, Halo Infinite, right?
Oh.
But if
So-
you're interested in the Infinite Donut, then
Go to Brazil.
I have a country for you.
Isn't every donut infinite? Like, it's just a circle, right? I mean,
I think that's the
aren't they
joke.
all like
Unless it's a Mobius donut.
Yeah, they're like Mobius loop donuts.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, Krispy Kreme and Halo are two tastes.
Every donut is a
taste bad
Taurus.
together. Yeah, exactly. Well, folks, that is going to do it for this episode of the Game Bytes Show podcast. We hope that you have been edified and delighted and informed and all of those things. If in our meanderings and wanderings across the landscape of video game news and impressions, you have any comments for us about the stuff that we've talked about, games that we've played, news that we've reported on, let us know all about that. You can find us on social media at Game Bytes Show on Twitter. You can @ us there collectively. You can also reach out to us individually. I am at Jeremy_Lamont.
You can find me at Legrand.
I am out Count Elmdor.
I'm at red_I.
If you are listening to the syndicated version of this podcast, why not come over and find us at youtube.com/GameBytesShow, where we are doing this podcast live on the air on the internet. youtube.com/GameBytesShow. Subscribe to us there. Hit that alarm bell. Be notified when we go live. We also have a pretty good back catalog of a lot of content there. A lot of good stuff in our history.
We did a video just last week, or I did a video anyway, in which my character in Ultima Online Outlands searches for a lost child of a local lord. So it was very fun.
Jared's been doing some serious
I
LARPing
murdered
there.
some drow.
Oh my gosh.
They're
Go check
evil.
us out there. Jared's doing a lot of very Jared content on the Game Bytes Show YouTube channel. So check us out there.
There might be some tomorrow.
Oh my gosh. Look forward to that.
the bell.
You can
Get
also find us.
notified.
Hit that bell. You can also find us at GameBytesShow.com, where you can find the back catalog of our podcast. You can also subscribe to our syndicated podcasts there. Find a link also there to our Discord server, where you can come join and talk to us on a day-by-day, hour-by-hour basis. We've got memes, we've got freebies and stuff that we find out on the internet, general discussion. We've got all kinds of game club stuff going on. We sort of proliferating again out into the Final Fantasy. Jared's got something going on Guild Wars. You never know what you can find at the Game Bytes Show Discord. So come join us there as well. And folks, we will be back this next week to talk to you once again about the games that we've been playing, news, new releases, and all sorts of great discussions. So get excited and come join us then. Until then, this has been your Game Bytes Show podcast. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you next time.
See ya.
Bye.
Be seeing you.
Boop. Yeah. Got it. In the can.
In the pooper.
What?
You said it in the can.
That's not. That's not.
In the pipe. 5 by
Welcome
5.
to Game Bytes Show After Dark, everybody. Special content only for our YouTube subscribers.
That's right. Speaking of which, let's take a look back at the Dushar Alehammer legendary blacksmith cam live here on the Game Bytes Show.
Hey,
Yeah.
did you make it?
I made it. It's on screen. Look at that.
Oh, is it? Oh gosh.
Ooh.
I'm waiting for it to come up. There's just that delay.
Yeah, it
I
does
see
have a
it.
bit of a delay. Yep. Here, let's we can do some math here. Let's log in back into Lens. I already closed the game in disgust.
Oh, I see it. I see the cam.
All right. How much time did it take to get this? This is what you guys could have,
Oh,
dear
don't wanna
listeners.
know. You don't wanna know.
Okay, so let's go to server rankings. Or harvested, show my ranking, lifetime. 179,488 ore harvested. That doubles, so that's how much ingots I required. But 179. You can only harvest every second. So let's say it was perfectly efficient. That took me 2,991 minutes. 50 hours of mining, of walking around in a little cave.
You cannot.
Of like doing this.
Not like this.
They don't make games like they used to, you know? All right.